people thinking that everything needs to be perfect, right? Like I need perfect pricing and my letter needs to be perfect. And it's just not the case. If that's going to help you get that mail out, like that is the most important thing.
You get into this business, you know we get deals from reaching out to landowners. If you avoid reaching out to landowners, you're not going to do too well. People thinking about it in their heads like, oh shoot, that actually is. I'm doing that right now. I'm 60 days in and I haven't sent anything. Do not send them a new contract, cross it out, write $85,000, put their initials. That's all they need to do. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, we're talking about the 5 biggest hurdles from land investors currently, new investors, experienced investors, the 5 biggest hurdles to being successful in this business. Number 5 is kind of crazy. I'm excited to get through these. Stick around. Number 5 is a wild one. Let's get to it though, Darrick. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, number 5, it's something that I think every land investor is going to relate to for sure. And it's definitely one of the biggest things that people don't even like when they first start investing. They don't even realize like how big of a deal that is, or maybe they do and they're like real worried about it. But yeah.
And some of these, we went over these before hitting that record button, just kind of like getting thoughts of like not everything's set in stone. But that being said, a lot of these are like ones that you wouldn't guess, I think. Like it's not stuff that we talk about. And I think that's I don't want to say unique hurdles because I think everyone does kind of have these hurdles, but it's just hurdles that we don't talk about as much. Because if we talk about ones like consistently marketing, all these other things, like it's more so like, let's just get to it though, Darrick. Instead of like prefacing everything, let's get to it. What is number 1? The first, this isn't in any specific order. I did put number 5 as like, we did put number 5 as like what we view as like the biggest hurdle people get. But what's number 1?
So number 1 is for all investors, I think have run into this, is getting your first mailer out, right? So, I mean, there's always like, you're going to do so much, education. You're going to go watch the boot camps. You're going to read the book. You're going to watch all the podcasts. You're going to get ready to go. You're going to start putting together your spreadsheet. You're going to write your letter. And when it comes time to put yourself out there, there's like this instant, like, oh no, like this is the rubber hitting the road, right? Like, what if everything goes wrong, right? I've put in all this work and effort and now you're like sending it out. And I see it. And the reason I put this on my list is because I see it a lot. Obviously I see stuff at scale because I have so many coaching clients. I see it at scale with them. And it's like, sometimes it's hard for some of these clients to get the mail out in the 90 days. And I'm like, what is this hurdle, right? Like, and it's just a matter of like people thinking that everything needs to be perfect, right? Like I need perfect pricing and my letter needs to be perfect. My spreadsheet, I don't want any extra stuff in my, like whatever it is, right? They just get caught up in this, like everything needs to be absolutely perfect. And it's just not the case, right? Like if you're hung up on your letter, I'll take a mediocre written letter, or even just using the letter that we have. If that's going to help you get that mail out, like that is the most important thing. But it's like, it is a hurdle for people to get that mail out, the first mailer. It
sounds obvious because like that's how you get your, whether we're talking about, and I think whether you're talking about mail or like getting your first marketing out, is that what you're talking about in general? Because some people come in, they're like, I want a text. But getting to that point where you're sending the text, where you're making the cold calls, where you're sending the mail, sounds crazy. Like you get into this business, we get deals from reaching out to landowners. If you avoid reaching out to landowners, you're not going to do too well. Seems crazy, but I think just like saying this out loud on this episode is going to be like trigger, like that's me. Like people thinking about it in their heads, like, oh shoot, that actually is. I'm doing that right now. I'm 60 days in and I haven't sent anything. You got to get to that in your first few weeks. Like really, really, what do you push people to do as far as like when should they be getting their first mailer out?
Yeah. So obviously in our coaching program, we have a 14-day like to marketing, right? From day 1 to 14 days marketing. I push all my clients, like there shouldn't be any reason we shouldn't be at that like 7 to 10 day mark. I love to capitalize on that momentum. Like they're excited, they're ready to go. Like if the excitement wears off, it gets harder to get that marketing out. So I like to capital on that momentum. Like, let's go. We're going to push. We're going to get this marketing out. Like, we're going to obviously do our best. We're not going to skip steps, but at the same time, that's our goal, 7 to 10 days. And honestly, if we hit that, we're great. If we don't hit that, we're definitely hitting 14 days.
It puts things behind once you start. Like 14 days is great. Like if you can do it in 14 days, like it's great. And the hurdle happens, guys, when it's not necessarily like you know what you need to do. Like you do know what you need to do. It's when people start overthinking each little step. Things that like choosing a market is important. I know you're really, really big on choosing a market. But that being said, like there's a time when like we need to choose this market. We need to pull the data. We need to do this. Like don't get too much into the details of everything, because at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't make you money. Like choosing a market's important. Again, to preface that, to say that again, it is important, but it's not going to make or break your business. You need to get marketing out.
Yes.
Let's get to number 2, Darrick. That was a good one. It's crazy, but that's a good one.
Yep. Number 2 is an interesting one because I didn't think this was a problem because I didn't necessarily have this problem, but now that I see stuff at scale, I'm like, oh, this is an issue. It's getting contracts signed. So you've sent your marketing, right? Somebody calls you. Hey, I'm looking to sell my land. Your price, it's a little bit low. Let's negotiate. Once you've come to that price, getting that contract signed is a hurdle for some people. Now, it's not necessarily you don't want them to sign it, right? A lot of times what investors fall into is trying to do all your negotiation before you get the contract signed, trying to make everything perfect before you have them sign that contract. And what I have found, and I think this was really big early on, and I don't know who I talked to, it might have been you guys, where you're like, just get that contract signed. Once you've come to a price, like don't worry about some of the other smaller aspects of the property. Get the contract signed, because they're more willing to negotiate with you after they've signed that contract, right? Let's just take this for example. I send out a mailer, and somebody just signs the contract and sends it back to me, right? Best case scenario, love that. Like I got a hot lead, they're ready to go. That doesn't mean I'm under contract, right? That just means that they're ready. That tells me that they're ready to go. I can still call them and say, hey, your land is, it's got some wet spots. We need to renegotiate, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But I have that signed contract, right? Here's the thing I always use in my coaching is it's a little bit like leaving your house without your phone, right? You get into the car, you're in the driveway, you've closed the doors, you're ready to go, you realize you don't have your phone, right? And a lot of times you're like, I'm just going. Right? I've gone too far. I'm already committed. I've got this momentum going in this direction. So you just go with it, right? It's the same thing with getting a contract signed. Once they've signed that contract, you have that momentum. They don't want to go back. They don't want to start this whole process over with somebody else. They have this little bit of momentum. You could get out of your car and go grab your phone. It's not that far, but a lot of times you're like, nope, I've gone too far, right? Even though it's this much momentum. And that's all you need in these. And they're more willing to negotiate with you in good faith once you have that contract signed. So I'm always pushing. I think people lose deals when they're like, they don't want to come down in price. I'm like, just get it signed, right? We'll come back to them once we've done a little bit more due diligence and say, hey, here's all the things that are wrong with your property that we need to come down in price, right?
Yep.
Once you've agreed on that price, get the contract signed. And then sometimes you got to get creative, right? Deals can fall apart if you have to mail them a contract and it takes 3 days for that mail to show up at their house. And now they've talked to their wife and their daughter and their cousin. And now all of a sudden they decide not to sell, right? So using people like a notary to go get a contract signed, send them the documents. The notary goes over that same day, gets everything signed, notarized, back to you that same day. It's really quick. DocuSign, like whatever you can do to speed up that process of we have a price, you're good to go, to getting that contract signed, that needs to be the shortest window possible.
Yep.
So,
and Darrick's saying, guys, is like, don't get it signed for any price. Like, it's not saying like this guy's asking, I offered 42,000. This guy's asking for 90,000. Like, yeah, cross it out and put that in. He's not saying that. He's saying like, don't get into the minutia. If that's like, that's a Jewish word. Don't get into the minutia of the prices, of the due diligence, of like calling the county. I haven't done this. I'm not sure if it's this. I need to get a drone photographer. No, get the damn thing signed. What I always did, and a lot of these, honestly, Darrick, are like bringing me back to when we first started this business, and like, because these were hurdles, like it really is. What I do when I'm talking to sellers is you're not getting off the phone. If you agreed to something, sign that damn thing. I'll teach you how to send a picture. I'll do whatever. We're staying on the phone. You're going to send that over to me. Like, it's not like I'm holding a gun to their head. No. It's just like, I'm going to like, you agreed, we agreed to this. Okay, that's awesome. Like, I appreciate that. That's amazing. Like, we can make this deal happen. I can't move any further with this deal.
Correct.
I can't send a title. I can't start the closing process. I can't get closer to getting your money until I get that contract. Can you do that while we're on the phone here? All right. Yeah. Write it out. Okay. We agreed on 85,000. The offer price is 82,000. What should I do? Do not send them a new contract. Cross it out. Rate 85,000, put their initials. That's all they need to do.
That's it.
I've never, 0 times in my land investing career have I had a title company push back on anything like this. They'll get it. If they do need to fix something, they'll get it signed later for them. But getting them to commit, like that is a commitment. Them signing something in their head is a commitment. Like hopefully you're really close on price and there's not something down the line, but sometimes due diligence comes up. But that being said, like, get them, stay on the phone with them. If they agreed to something, all right, awesome. Like, that's amazing. Let's do that. Maybe it's send them a Google or a hello sign or a DocuSign or something like that while you're on the phone. If maybe you send a neutral letter, maybe it's a text message or something like that. But yeah, stay on the phone with them, get it signed. Every time you have to talk to a seller and reach out to them, the deal becomes more difficult to happen.
Yes. Yes.
From there, like you're getting that sign, you're like, okay, here's the next steps. I'm going to send this to the title company. I'm going to call the county, make sure we're all lined up, make sure everything lines up with the property. Is there anyone else on the deed, anything like this that I need to know that we're missing here? Then they're good to go. Like you can close in 2 weeks. Is it okay if I send one of my photographers out there to just get some pictures of the land? Yeah, absolutely. Like it feels like the deal's moving forward. Opposed to when some of these people get off phones with sellers, the seller has no clue what the hell's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's that little bit of momentum, right? You've closed the door, you forgot your phone, and you're just going to the grocery store without your phone. It's just that little bit of momentum allows this whole thing to move forward. And here's the thing. I don't like doing due diligence until I have that contract signed. I don't like spending any of my time, any of my money until there's a signed contract, because if I can't get that thing signed right away, I'm not putting any more time in there until that thing is signed. Because far too often, something else happens, and that contract ends up not getting signed, or we find something else. So I just get it signed.
Due diligence before that contract is signed can be the computer on Land Portal looking at the property.
That's it.
This is the time when you should believe a seller. After that contract signed, I don't give a crap what the seller said. That is a blank slate for me. I'm calling the county. I'm double checking everything on the property. So many people are like, the seller's saying it's not an HOA. That's a damn HOA. I know for a fact that's 100%. An HOA.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you can say that all you want, and then you're going back like, yeah, this is an HOA. You told me it's not. Like, this is $200 a month. We got to do something about this price. But believe the seller up to that contract being signed, and then like it's a blank slate. You're doing your own due diligence, double checking everything.
Everything. Yes.
Let's get rolling. I love that.
Yep.
I love that. Number 3.
Comping land accurately. So this is one of those things where people freak out a little bit and like aren't able to get the land comp. Like, Darrick, how do I comp this land? How do I make sure that I'm making good deals? Obviously this is like one of the main things that we focus on in our coaching program. If I can leave them with anything, one of those things is how to comp land accurately, because that's super important. So, my solution for this is to go watch the deal reviews, right? It's a good way to get to watch how we comp land. Go watch them, right? See how we're doing it. What are we looking at, right? Also, using the TLP estimate is like, that's gotten so much better, and it's becoming so accurate that I use that now a lot of times as my initial look. I'm like, all right, we're probably in this range, because even like for the most part, those ranges have been really good. Now I might think it's like $1,000 less per acre or something, but like it gets such a good ballpark. But what I tell people initially with my initial like negotiations with people, if I'm just trying to get that contract signed, I'll generally just go off the TLP estimate, right, and try to use that, especially if I'm like texting and I haven't given them an offer yet. Maybe I'll give them a range off that. But for the most part, when I start getting into the minutia, to use your word, and I'm trying to comp that really accurately, then I need to go learn how to do that, which is go watch the deal reviews and watch 3 or 4 of them, and then watch a deal review up until one of us puts in the APN or the owner name or however we're looking at, and then pause the video. Go do it yourself. Go comp it yourself. See what you come up with, and then unpause the video and see how close you were. Right? So that's teaching you like, all right, am I looking at the right things? What came up in this one? Because there's a lot of things that come up, right? What kind of homes are being built in the area? Like there's so many other factors that come into this rather than just the data, right? Like road frontage and wetness and slope and all that stuff. Like, what kind of area are you in? What kind of homes are there, right? Are they trailers or are they McMansions, right? Like, that's going to tell you how much, the land. Also, like, things that the AI can't see. Are there improvements on the land? Is there a little pond on the land? Like, all these things are going to come into play with accurately comping. So learning how to comp land accurately is a hurdle for a lot of land investors. And it's one of those first hurdles that I think people stress out about.
It's one of the biggest things when people get into this business, or like it's one of the more difficult things when you get in this business. Yeah, there's tools and stuff, but to be able to comp land accurately by yourself without anyone, it's a hurdle. Like that's why we named it this. And it's one of the things, like this is number 3. Again, not in really any particular order. This keeps people from getting contracts signed.
Yes.
100%. This is one of the biggest things that keeps people from getting contract signs. They look at the land, they second guess their offer, they do this, they do this. Give your best offer. Like when you're trying to get, and we're kind of going back to 2, but when you're trying to get a contract signed, like do it as confidently as you can. You need to be confident on the phones with the sellers, getting that contract signed. But yeah, comping land is a learning process, guys. It's not going to be your first week. You're not going to be confident comping land, but there's so many people in the community. There's so many amazing coaches. There's deal reviews 2-3 times per week. Like there's so many ways to get your deal reviewed and get a confident price after you get that contract signed.
Yes.
It's going to take you 3, 4, 5 months, honestly. Like guys, if you want to be, and when we're talking about comping accurately, we're not talking about comping within 1%. We're talking about comping within 10%. Being able to comp within 10% really confidently is a really good spot to be. I like that one a lot. Yeah, that is 100% a hurdle, and I think it bleeds into some of these other ones, like I said.
Ever wondered how land investing can be the fastest path to financial freedom? I break it all down in my new book, One Lot at a Time. I'll show you exactly how to find, buy, and flip land for huge profits without dealing with houses, tenants, or any crazy renovations. It's simple. This is the book that I wish I had when I first started. If you're ready to take control of your financial future, grab a copy now. One Lot at a Time by Daniel Apke. Find it at your local bookstore or on Amazon.com.
What about number 4, Darrick? Where are we at?
Number 4 is going to be, getting CMAs from realtors. So a lot of times when we're working with deal funders.
Say CMA. Define CMA first.
CMA, comparative market analysis. So this is basically a realtor giving us a comp, right? So let's say we got a parcel of land. We go look it up on, our comp tool, and we see that there's not a lot of comps in the area. It's kind of a dead area. We don't have a lot of comps in the last, 18 to 24 months. We're having a hard time finding what this is going to go for. So we're going to use somebody local there who knows the market, who has access to, pending stuff, who has access to things that have gone off market, who can give us a little bit more information because they have access to the MLS, right? So this is a big thing. And I've worked with enough land investors now who would, after I've got funding, they're like, hey, I need to get a CMA from a realtor, right? And I'm like, all right. That's gonna be tough, and a lot of my clients fall into this trap as well. Of like, how do I get them on the phone? Right? Realtors are notorious, and this is like obviously this goes into some of my double close pitches that realtors don't answer their phone. That they're really hard to deal with. It's almost like they don't want to do land deals, and I get it. Like I used to be a realtor. There's not a lot of money in them. I didn't like doing like a land deal because there just wasn't much to do, right? And like people will be calling you all the time, how come my land's not selling? I'm like, well, it's up on the MLS, and there's other than that, well, that's really kind of like what I would do to sell land. To get a CMA, there's a couple strategies. So first off, I go to Zillow and I find realtors who have sold land in the area, and I call them. And the first thing I do is I compliment their land sale. Hey, I saw you sold this property. That was an awesome property. I really like that. So I'm like, I want to build them up a little bit, and I want to say like, I might be looking for a realtor. I've got this off-market deal. I'm looking for a CMA on it. And hopefully I can strike up a conversation. Sometimes I have to reach out through text if people aren't answering their phone, but phone, text, email, whatever you have, you got to reach out to those realtors, and you might have to reach out to 10 realtors before you get a phone call back on one of them. So you just got to stay consistent. Let them know like, hey, I'm working in this area and I'm looking for deals. Like they could also maybe help you get deals in that area too. It's a good contact to have. So you're trying to create a good working relationship with them. The other tactic is to find a new realtor. And how I do that is I find a realtor area, like, I'll go to the city and I'll find whatever realtors are working in that city. There's usually like a brokerage, and I'll go to the, find a realtor button on their website, and I'll scroll to the bottom, right? And a lot of times it'll say like realtor since 2025. Well, you're pretty new. You're probably hungry for your first deal, right? So I'm going to use that hunger and that drive to possibly have them get me a CMA for this land. Now, the cool thing about using a new realtor is a lot of times they have somebody on top of them that they're working with, like an apprentice style thing. And they'll be using that person to help them give this CMA because this is a skill they need to learn. So I realize that I'm getting a new realtor that might not know how to do it, but they have access to somebody at their brokerage that is giving them a hand, right? And a lot of times also it's just in their MLS. In my MLS, back when I was a realtor, it used to be like a button, like click on the property, run a CMA, and it would just kick it out, right? It's sometimes that simple for realtors to do that. So I'll leverage that. And then my last option is to just pay a realtor for a CMA, right? Say, hey, I get this. This is going to take some time for you. There's no guarantee I'm going to use you. There's no guarantee I'm going to buy this land, but I'll give you $50 if you can give me a quick CMA on this, right? Like you could do that. I wish realtors had their own websites that was like I could just go on and Venmo them $50 for a CMA, and I could put in the address or the APN and be like, that would be that might be a little side hustle for realtors. So if you're a realtor watching this, set up your own website and just for CMAs, because there's enough land investors now at this point that you might make some money.
There you go. Interesting stuff. How much do you rely on realtor opinions when you get them?
I mean, it's a factor, right? It's because they're going to have a little bit different information than me. I'm going to add a little bit more weight to them. But it's really the only times I've ever had to get them is when I'm working with a land investor who's requiring it for their underwriting. So I don't a lot of times get them if I'm doing like a hard money or I'm self-funding. I don't generally get a CMA unless I'm really unsure of the comping. It's rare. It happens though. Like people see me on deal reviews all the time where I'm like, hey, there's just no comps in this area. I can't find anything within 30 miles and there's nothing for sale. Like you're going to have to call a realtor on this. So anything like that, I'm generally, getting a realtor. So
one thing to add here, guys, and it's just a way to do honest business, honestly, is if you're planning on first off, if you're not planning on using a realtor, like I'm not sure if I'm going to post this a realtor, let them know. Like be very transparent with the realtors. But if you're planning on using a realtor, like if you're saying like, yeah, I'm looking for a realtor to list this property, I'm looking for an opinion on it, and they follow through, like they do everything they're supposed to do, use that. Like you really, really should use them if they're doing everything from their end, and it's going to help you sell. Like it's a good relationship. You start burning relationships and you start like sending these realtors 10 properties a comp, like they're just going to blow you off. Like, you're not going to get it. Right. If you call 5 realtors and ask for this and be like, I'm going to buy this, I'm closing on this property next week, just want to see what I should list for, I'm looking to list with a realtor, you're going to have one realtor probably stand out. It's like, okay, this is the dude to go with. But yeah, that's just kind of like my opinion from like, how do you get good realtors? Like, following through with your word. If you have no plan on you need to pay them for the CMA, in my opinion, if you have no plan to list with a realtor. Hey, like I own this property, I'm probably just going to list this myself, honestly. And maybe they'll knock your socks off and you're like, I need to use this person. Totally. I don't plan to list with a realtor. I'll pay you $100 if you can go look at this property, whatever it is. Give me your opinion on what you think it would sell for. But just my opinion there. All right, guys, finally, number 5. I don't know. I mean, all of these were really good, Darrick, but number 5 is one that I think keeps people from doing deals. And let's just get to it. First, break down what it is, give each other's our thoughts, and then we'll go from there.
I mean, initially, I think this one just kept me up at night. Like, I'm getting things under contract, and I'm like, how am I going to get funding?
How am I going to get funding? Number 5.
Number 5. And it's like, it's such a big hurdle. Like, it's still to this day, I'm like, for me, it's more now, what kind of funding is going to work best for this deal, right? Because sometimes it's a double close. I look at the profit margins on a lot of this stuff, and I'm like, am I double closing? Am I going hard money? Am I going to self fund this? Am I going to split fund this with a hard money lender? A lot of times I do that where I'll fund half, they'll fund half, and so that's anxiety inducing, especially for a new person coming into this. Is how am I going to get funding? Because if you can't get funding, a lot of times, like, you're coming in, you're shoestringing your business, you got 10K, like you need funding. This business doesn't work without getting that funding, especially early on. And so that is anxiety inducing for a lot of people. And it's a hurdle to get over. And here's what I always say. If the money is there in the deal, if you've made a good deal, the funding will be there. I have not had maybe one that I was shocked didn't get funded, right? Where I'm like, but as people came in and were talking about it, like I understood their side of it, but I'm still like, well, I still think that's a great deal. Like I almost jumped in on it. I was like, should I do this one? But it's a situation of like, if you don't know if you can get funding, right? Like, are my margins too thin here? Like, I think the best thing to keep in mind is that if the margins get a little thin, there's always a double close option, right? So it's a little bit nice to know that I always have that in my back pocket, that I always am able to revert to that if need be. And then hard money is also an option as well, depending on your risk tolerance. But there's so many options for funding that I don't necessarily think it's as big of a hurdle as we make it out in our mind, right? I think our deal funding group here in LIO is stellar. Like I push all my clients as soon as we get something under contract and we're doing our due diligence and everything looks like it's going well, I'm like, we got to get that up for funding, right? Like, let's go, let's push forward. And it always, it always happens. People always get funding, or I send them over to a hard money guy and they, that guy funds it. And it's, or we go, all right, what are our options here? Let's go double close this one, right? This seems like a perfect option for double closing, because if the funders are saying, hey, the margins are too thin, let's push for that double close. Let's renegotiate this contract, get a 90-day close on it, and go from there. So
yeah, I think people aren't hungry enough for funding, to be honest with you. I think one person saying no, or like one funding avenue not working, and people are like, yeah, this deal just doesn't make sense. And it's a huge issue. And like, when we first started this business, like, it was our dad funding deals. It was putting money together from family members. It was us scraping up money from 401k or a HELOC or all these different things. Like, if you believe in a deal, like, don't be biased towards your deal for sure. If people are saying like this is a good deal, but you just can't find funding, like, figure out a way to make it happen. Like, there is money out there, guys. Like, you got to be creative, friends, family, everything in between. You don't want to burn the bridge with them and like try to get a bad deal funded. There are bad deals that don't get funded, obviously. There are also good deals where maybe the first avenue doesn't work. Like I said, maybe the LIO deal funders, like, there's someone who's talking about just not having enough margin, as far as not necessarily like the ROI was good, but it was just the dollars of margin wasn't enough for people. So it's like, there's people though, you find friends, if you're buying for $5,000 and selling for $10,000 or $15,000, people will fund that deal. And maybe
100%.
maybe not our community, because a lot of times they're looking for $20,000+ deals. But 100% there is funding for good deals every single time, and you got to be hungry when you're looking for it. Anything to add to that, Darrick? I'm just trying to think, like, you got to be creative with it. It is, and as you grow, as you scale up volume, trying to get cheaper money, I think, is always like you can't be paying 50% of profit every single deal forever. Like, it's not a scalable thing. It's great when you first start because you get the knowledge of an experienced land investor funding your deal. But as you scale up, as you're doing more deals, like, you got to think about that. It is a pillar of your business.
100%. You guys told me that at the beginning of, like middle of last year, almost a year.
It's like
ago.
After one of our first podcasts ever recorded, I'm like, Darrick, stay on here. You're paying too much money. That's what a lot of people that I have on the podcast, I'm like, all right, where's your money going? Like, you should be making more money. Like, it's great what you did. It's great, like, the profit margin. You know who's happy though with your pipeline is your funders.
My funders,
because you're doing a hell of a job for them. But it's something, and that's not your first few deals. Don't worry about that if you're just getting started. But once you do 5, 10, 15 deals, think about how much money is going out to your funders. You can still give really good returns to people without giving the best returns in history.
Yeah, absolutely. I think once you feel comfortable, especially like with comping land, you know where to go to get good information as far as your due diligence goes. Like, you got to start jumping into hard money loans. You got to start jumping into even more double closes, right? You get to keep a lot of profit in double closes. I've double closed properties that I had at 50% margin, right? I had a 30 sell for 70 that I double closed. Guess what? I got to keep the 40. Like, there you go. That's awesome, right? Because that made sense for that deal. And I was like, let me just see if he was up for it. Like, my seller was like, yeah, 90 days, no problem. I'm not in any big hurry. And I'm like, great, that's what we're doing. And so if that happens, like, there's so many other ways to keep more money in your pocket. And you have to level up this business at some point. And that really comes into, once you get comfortable, you've done those, 5, 10, 15 deals, and you're really feeling comfortable about your ability to get those deals, you got to find cheaper money.
100%. I like this episode, Darrick. This is big. And these are things, like I said at the beginning of the episode, guys, these are things that we don't talk about that much, as far as like, we talk about them, but it's never like a focus of an episode. All 5 of these are amazing. Darrick, I appreciate you coming on again for our monthly episode. Huge value in this episode. Let us know in the comments anything we're missing. There's obviously stuff we're missing. Anything that, like, okay, this should have been in the top 5. Let us know in the comments below. Other than that, guys, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you guys next time.